Yeah, and I think even just to the point of, even if she was ever a legitimate ambassador, the questions have to be, okay, who were you appointed by, and when does your appointment expire? I don't know any ambassadors who are ambassadors for life and aren't answerable to anyone.
Okay, move forward. Repatriation.
All right, so now we come to repatriation. I wanted to deal with my own journey to Ghana. My mother brought me to Ghana in 1998 as part of something called the Sankofa journey. Nana, have you heard of that?
Kind of a little bit.
Hmm. And at that time, I was a teenager. I had just finished my first year of college at Morehouse College, where I was on a full scholarship. I had been an intern at IBM. I was on what they call the National Merit Scholarship. That I was the internship at Emerald. I was doing various types of things, but none of them were particularly tied to what I would think is either my individual or as a race our collective mission, destiny, and purpose. Um, so my mother brought me, and it was always just a thing of, oh, this is mom's thing, Africa, 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 okay, whatever, I'll go. And I really didn't have a deep or profound understanding of, yeah, I'm returning to Africa or whatever. Because growing up, Africa was always, we were raised in an African centered household, but when we went to public schools, it was, you an African booty scratcher, oh, you so black, oh, what's this African name, Obadeli, open the jelly, blah, blah, blah. So to navigate that type of situation, it requires uh, developing means and tactics and other things. But I was like, all right, whatever, mom's saying. Um, let's just go ahead and go with it. So I was there with other college students from Central and A&T and other places. One who I had a little bit of a crush on, but Kala has left, so I just put that in there. Um, but I was like, hey, this African thing must be okay because she fine.
Hilarious.
So, anyway, we went around. I got sick with food poisoning, as my mother, we were at the Du Bois Center. My mother said, oh, I left my bag in the car. Go get the bag. As I was going out to get the bag, I twisted my ankle. So this was not the most fun thing. Um, I'm not sure if it was that year or the next year when they did the repatriation of the bodies. Was that 99 at
Yeah, the
Asimanso?
retired.
Yeah, that was the next year. But I definitely got food poisoning the first time. I know I got it in '99 because I couldn't attend that repatriation because I was in the bus having a tsunami, tornado, and hurricane in my stomach. But all of
You
that to,
had it first, but you got clappy.
yeah, I do. So anyway, the first year I was just not so into it, but I had a very serious um, life crisis, if you want to call it, ancestral butt whooping, if you want to call it, nervous breakdown, if you want to call it, coming together of the community around me that my mother organized at the house of Dr. Fiaz Akio, I mentioned previously. So within the course of 1 week, all of the things that I was doing that were not connected with my destiny, I cut all of those out. Your typical college, first year of college type of things. Um, and I got onto the path that I had been put on from birth, even where I chose life, which is the first choice that anyone makes in life. And by '99, I was learning the language, actively. I think in '98 I picked up like a yeah at the same or something. By '99, I wanted to know everything, and my goal was to learn it so well that I would teach native speakers Chi. And this semester, I will be doing just that, teaching Ghanaians Chi at the University of Ghana. Give me a round of applause for that. So whatever your goals are what you will obtain. So I was doing that. Then by 2000, my mother was president of ABSI, and she brought over 500 psychologists
What is
here.
ABSI?
ABSI is the Association of Black Psychologists, which was a major event. And at the end of that, um, I decided to stay on for a year of study abroad. A couple of other brothers who I went to undergrad with did the same. So I was here for the year. The first semester, they were like, "Oh, you already know the language." They had me go one on one with probably the most illustrious tree professors in all of Ghana, Professor Kofi Ajikun. So we were just doing one on one, going through Anansi stories. By the next semester, I was up to the point where I could take classes with native speakers, going through literature of Akan language and use of Akan language, and then also African spiritual systems taught and tested in the Akan language, where I did a paper that was over 41 pages entirely in Akan, which at that time was the longest paper I'd done in any language. Um, so all of that was, great experiences. Then by the time I came back, I was taking Medu with Dr. Mario Beatty, the current head of ASCAC, Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations. So that was before, and then by the time I came back, I went to the same class in Medu so-called hieroglyphs. And because I kept making these connections between Medu and Akan, he was like, "You need to go to grad school for this." I was like, "I don't feel like going to grad school." He was like, "Oh, you going? You going?" So I did end up going to University of Wisconsin-Madison. I picked up Yoruba. I was advanced by a year in to Wolof, other African languages. And then I came here to do my PhD in linguistics, where I got the Vice Chancellor's Award for Best PhD Thesis in 2013. Last year, I did a paper on language learning that got the award for the uh, Best Publication in the Humanities at University of Ghana for early career. So yeah, all of my repatriation journey started off with the Sankofa journey, my mother bringing me here, and me having not just, oh, let's go to, I know people who come to Ghana on tours and they just go to the nightclub. I'm not knocking that, but what I had was a transformational experience, a life-changing experience where I could not be doing anything other than reconnecting with my life's purpose and my life's path. And things came full circle. My mother first came to Ghana in '72, but then she ended up taking Chi from me online, you know, so things do things do come full circle. So that was the repatriation, and now we have another opportunity for the Sankofa Journey 2017. We've had so far, 11 or so people to sign up, but we wanted more people to, experience this, because when we're talking about I got citizenship, the citizenship for me started up before Founders Day, or before Dr. Maulana was talking about Ministry of the Future, or even before this so-called ambassador started up her hijacking crew. That it started for me in 1998 with the Sankofa journey, and with me making a reconnection to Africa, and the reach out to Africa has been mutual, and that handshake with the president of Ghana is, my great grandfather was the night commander of the UNI, as I mentioned, that he may have had a vision that either he himself or one of his descendants would be returning back to Africa and doing so successfully, and that is what has come to pass. So I don't take any of this lightly. Something very powerful for me individually, for my family, both from the remote past into the remote future, that this is a fulcrum, a turning point, a pivot point that is moving African people forward towards total African liberation from under white world terror by domination.
And so with that, again, applauding Obadele for being open to receive what was his destiny. Because many of us fight our destiny along the road because we're influenced by things that are so, for lack of a better word, secular, that we're not open to the spiritual understanding of what our life's path is. And as he said, he had some challenges, but he got a spanking along the journey that helped him realize, not just one, but that one was a pretty harsh one, not to say that you have another purpose. And I really like the way you made that analogy between your great grandfather Lord, because that may indeed be, through every family, well, not every family. Sometimes when you become aware of how important our connection is, there's usually just one member in the family who can move that journey forward. And you see yourself as one of those people prepared to do that. And so that's why the Sankofa journey is important, whether you plan to repatriate or not. The Sankofa journey is, as Obadele mentioned, is not a tour. It's an experience. It's a spiritual experience to help us go back and reclaim. As we know, Sankofa, then go and take. Go back and fetch from the past that which will prepare us for now so we can live and move forward to the future. And I want to leave a couple of minutes for Brother Charles to talk about his experience when he was on the journey. But we do a very different kind of thing and very purposeful thing in the way that we travel throughout Ghana, the people we meet. One of the advantages we have is because Obadele speaks the language, doors open up, particularly elders of villages who then open up things and information to us that other people don't tend to get. So it's not just our socializing with the Ghanaians there, and many of them are very, very warm and inviting people. But I don't want to mislead people that you don't have a sense of a New York there too. So, in some places, yes, you got to hold your purse. But in many of the places we visit, you feel like you've come home again. And the people have welcomed you home, even if they call you like that. So I'd like for people to think about and to share with others the opportunity to, this is a portal. You may decide in Ghana that a country in Africa that you would prefer to go, that your ancestry is calling. But this is a portal toward that spiritual experience to open up and to share with Ghanaians the diasporic experience. So one of the times when Baba Kamau went, he took newspapers so that people could understand that the streets paved with gold spears they have were not realistic for Africans in the diaspora, and that they could read for themselves what really goes on with us here. They wonder why we want to come because they're so busy trying to get over here until they get here and realize that yes, they may get more money, but they don't have family, they don't have protection, they don't have kinds of things that make you a human being. And so, Obadele, if you'd like to add, before I ask Charles to talk a little bit about how he felt about his experience when he went the first time.
No, I'll let him go ahead.
Okay, Brother Charles, can you share a little bit about how you felt about your experience?
Yes, sitting here listening brought back a lot of memories. It was a spiritual journey for me. I wasn't expecting it.
If people have their volume up really loud, it causes the voices to echo. So if you can adjust your volume or mute yourself if you're not talking, that way it you can still hear, but it doesn't echo back into the microphones of everyone else. I'm sorry, brother.
Okay. Yes, this definitely was a spiritual journey for me. I didn't intend for it to be. I didn't know that it would be. However, after arriving in Ghana and the process that Badele set before us was extremely important for my future development as it is now. Like him, uh, my great grandmother was mine. She came to this country on ships. And before she died in 55, she shared some of her experiences. And I was able to see and feel some of those experiences while there. I had a disease when I arrived there. And we went to one of the ceremonies there. And we spoke healing over that disease. After a period of time, that disease is no longer in my body. And I thought that was quite interesting how that transformation occurred, just speaking healing. And it is delivered over a period of time through various programs and situations, and then learning some of the Tree language. Everywhere we went, Obatale spoke Tree, and of course, we had to speak Tree around him. That helped me develop some mental thoughts that I was not thinking of before. Another language, another field and process of thought. And then we talked about Metanetta. So I'm just grateful once again to return. I did meet a relationship there. I think we went to the Arts Center a few minutes before leaving that Sunday, and I met someone there, and we've had a phone relationship ever since. And that was a wonderful experience. So I'm just excited. I'm not going to speak too much. There's so much wealth of listening that I prefer to spend the rest of the time doing that at this point. Thank you.
Yadasi.
Does anyone have any questions or thoughts? Anyone else on the call that might have questions or thoughts? And say your name.
How quickly can I meet somebody when I go over?
Right before you get on the plane,
Yeah.
you gotta go to the art center.
Meet someone properly.
Right.
Nataki, can you give us the name of the person who's supposed to be added to the conversation?
Say that again.
Can you give us the name of the person who's supposed to be added to the conversation?
Oh, Zaire dot Stone, ZAIRE.STSONE.
Thank you.
So so that that's how we got here. It's been over journey, and this is why we continue. We want to provide, not make, provide opportunities for people to really reconnect with their African. People sometimes take for granted when we say that, but if you're at least saying it, then your spirit is calling. And so Sankofa Journey is one way for you to extend that calling beyond just words to experience. And I think one of the reasons also that Brother Charles was able to experience the way he is, he's in the African arts and music. And so that in itself is very spiritual calling, which then opens you up to be able to receive. And many of us are blocked off as a result of living in the diaspora and particularly in this country. And so we want you to open up. We want you to tell people. We want you to join us. Please think about coming on the Sankofa Journey. And you can reach us by sankofajourney.com. All the information is there. The deadline for payment is April 15th. You'll see that there. I'm not quite sure if there's anything else that we can share, but if you have any questions, please feel free. Obadele, do you want to say anything?
How much is it?
Carla asked how much is it? It's 27.50.
Due by
Yeah,
April.
and all of that information is on the site. The amount, how the payment, how to pay, is getting late for the payment plan. We had a payment plan that started back in September. It's getting late for that as the deadline is April 15th. One of the things that has been helpful, unfortunately, we use PayPal, which takes a lot, but it's fortunate on another hand because when there are problems, we don't have problems. We have ID numbers and things like that to be able to track information. So with that, Valerie has a class in a few minutes. We don't want to hold up on that. There are no more questions. We ask Onyame and the Okosun and the Nananum to continue to bless each of us as we move forward. And we hope to find you on the Sankofa Journey 2017. Madasio.
And I'm recording the video, so I'll put it online, and you can check it out on BBT Mikasa.
Oh, so this whole thing's been recorded?
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yeah, this is, I'm sure people love this.
Yo, yes, that. Yo, and yeah, you bitch, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Not to hang up.